into those. And so, and again, if others have questions during the course of this evening's call, please feel free to ask those. And we look forward to it. This is obviously our first meeting of 2023. And I'm seeing online and on Facebook and whatnot, a lot of people are still using their cars because that there's no salt on the road, and it's still been fairly warm, so it's worked out really well for a lot of people. But so Ted, you were the first one to submit a question, so why don't we start with yours? Questioning regarding or do you want to go through Ted? So he's got a steering wheel. He's looking to have it refurbished, a wooden steering wheel.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody. A happy Healy New Year.
1 moment. I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Sorry. Siri didn't hear you.
Our BN1 came with a less than 3-spoke wood rim steering wheel, and it looks quite presentable. Been using it all these years, but it's got some nicks and scratches in the wood, and I think it'd been refinished perhaps by the prior owner. I think it's been on the car since the 60s. So I wanted to get it properly finished. And of course, I went and did a Google search, and there's lots of places who do steering wheels. Most of them seem to be specializing in plastic wheels for American cars. But there was no lack of people to try. And I thought I'd just see if anybody ever had a wheel professionally refinished and had any recommendations, or I'm breaking new ground.
No, I think good question, obviously. I've had Mike Lempert has done several wheels for me. I'm not sure if Mike's still doing that. Does anyone on this phone know if Mike Lempert's still refinishing steering wheels, wooden wheels? Yeah, I have his contact information, Ted. I can send it to you. But,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike Lempert. Do
Okay.
others have thoughts on companies for restoring wooden steering wheels?
I don't, but I do have a word of caution, and you may already know this, so forgive me if I'm covering ground you're familiar with, but with that particular wheel you're talking about, the metal portion is machine turned, if I recall. I have one of them too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just send it to somebody, be specific about what you want them to do, because if you try to clean and polish that metalwork, you will wear away the machine turning.
Okay.
So that you almost can't see it anymore.
Okay.
So that's something I learned the hard way. I actually refinished mine myself,
Okay.
and I thought I'd polish up the metal part, and you can still see the machine turning a little bit, but it's not as clear and crisp as it was when I started the project.
Excellent suggestion. Thank you. Yeah, the machine turning is still quite good shape. It's just the wood from over the years being, whatever. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Whatever I find out, I'll be happy to share at some point.
Right. So Bill, what did you do anything special in terms of polyurethane or when you refinish the wood?
Yeah, that was really all I did. I can't even remember. It's so long ago, I can't even remember what I used, but it was just an over-the-counter product. I think the wood came out great.
Mhm.
Again, the wood was solid to begin with. It wasn't floating away from the rim at all. And there were a few small nicks. And I mean, I do woodworking a little bit, so I'm able to kind of judge if I'm going to be able to sand it out, or if it's going to require me to put a little material in there first before I start smoothing it out. But that was something that I could do myself. Like I said, I think the wood came out fine, but I kind of got into polishing the aluminum portion of the rim. And afterwards, I'm like, I mean, it's no longer, no longer this impressive machine turning. There's like little swirls, you can just barely kind of see them.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing how quickly you can reduce that metal down with just something as simple as an aluminum polish and a rag.
Excellent. Much appreciated advice. Thank you.
Did you call your attorney, Bill, to file a complaint
Against myself?
Right. So others have
Hey,
thoughts regarding refinishing of wooden steering wheels? Nick, do you have a thought?
My question is, do you know the manufacturer?
It's a less than wheel.
Are they still around?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Everyone's shaking their head no.
So
Yeah.
sometimes those companies offer refurbishing services.
Okay. I will check, but I think they're long gone. They were pretty popular decades ago.
Given the amount you can sell one for on the secondary market, I don't think they're commercially available anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at eBay, they get some amazing prices depending upon what it goes to. Yeah, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Yeah, so I
Right.
think it's well worth $400 or $500 or something if it happens to cost that much. Okay. And
So,
nothing
Ted, is that
too
something
much
you'd
to spend
consider
on my
doing?
Healy.
Ted, is that something you'd consider doing yourself?
I might possibly, yeah, I'm pretty handy with most things I decide to try to do. So, but I just thought I'd look into having it done properly for sure. You know, I think it was done once before and varnished or urethaned over because I can see the nicks that it's covered, but it's not in terrible shape. But you know, might as well see what I can do. So,
So like
nothing's
with a
too
four-
much for my Healy.
With a 400 grit sandpaper, would that take the nicks and stuff, do you figure?
Probably would, and then you got to cover it over again. But I might
Right.
give it a try. Yeah, might just do that. So. All right.
Okay, well, I will send you Mike Lempert's contact information.
I appreciate it.
I think he's now in
Thank you.
South Carolina. He used to be in
Okay.
New Jersey, but I
Okay.
think he's moved to South Carolina. And-
Lower
and he's-
tax.
Yeah, probably. Certainly with New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
But he's certainly he does beautiful work, absolutely gorgeous work.
Okay, great.
He was the one that was also doing the 3.5 differentials.
Okay.
The gear sets for 3.5s.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think he's doing that any longer either. I think for his son did a batch, I think a number of years ago, but I think that's pretty much dried up as well.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well,
Okay,
see where it goes.
great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Ted. Appreciate that. And Bill, who we just heard from, he's got a question regarding his steering box. So you want to give us an idea about your dead spot, Bill?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Is it possible for me to share some pictures or?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right,
So
So,
sharing it should be a green button on depending where
Yep,
your
I see it.
toolbar is. Yeah.
Gonna get a picture up here and then. See if I can do this.
Do you have that picture on your hard drive already, Bill?
Yeah, it's up
Great.
now. I'm just trying to move it out of the way, so once I've got it up, I can hit the green button. There
Okay.
we go. So, did that work?
Not yet.
Let's see.
Are you going to share the picture or your screen?
I just wanted to share the picture. It doesn't seem to
Okay.
be doing it.
So you should be able to, if you have that file open on your desktop
I do.
or your
Well,
PC.
I opened it right on top of the Zoom conference. Maybe I should have had it open on my desktop before.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'd be better on your desktop.
So I'm sorry. I was hoping I
No.
could
No
do
problem.
this quickly. So now it's on my desktop,
Great.
and now let's see if I can share the screen. Desktop, share.
So as Bill's trying to do that, so his question was, how do I align the dead spot in the steering box? My dead spot or tight spot is off to the right by about a quarter of a turn. I have some pictures that I'll share. So he's saying so are you saying that the wheel itself is off by a quarter of a turn?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's I thought I've done this before at work and it worked. It was much easier than this. So I should have done a dry run with this before I logged on. So what happens? This is going to be very difficult to follow with just a speaking description, but essentially, if I've got the wheel in the straight ahead position with the middle spoke up, I have to turn to the left about a quarter of a turn before I reach that dead spot or a tight spot that is, purposely machined into our steering boxes. So I guess I'm assuming that everybody's aware of that. So I'd like to try to adjust it so that when the wheel is straight ahead, obviously that's where it was meant to be, that tight spot. And I guess what I'm wondering is this something where I should remove the arm from the steering box and move it over one
No,
tooth,
no.
or
So
no?
Richard, do you have a recommendation what you should do? Who
You're
said
speaking to
no?
me?
Well, who said no?
Are you speaking to Richard Sansucci?
Well, yes, you're speaking. I believe you said no, Richard.
Okay. Most likely, the steering arm is in the proper place on the shaft. If the steering, in other words, when he's steering straight ahead, is the wheel a quarter of a turn off when he's steering straight? If that's the case, then the wheel has to be pulled and repositioned so that it's lined up going straight. Now, if
No,
that's,
it's not that. No, it's not that simple. The wheel is centered, as I said at the beginning, with the middle spoke straight up.
Yep.
Okay, and with the wheels on the car pointing straight ahead. I have to turn the wheel about a quarter of a turn to the left before I encounter the tight spot in the steering box. So what is the correct procedure to try to align that tight spot with the center spoke being straight up?
Well,
All right,
there isn't a procedure. We are talking about something is bent or not aligned correctly. Something's not right. When all the pieces are in the right places and all the original pieces are of the correct length, then the high spot is on center. So the problem you have is probably camber. Have you checked the camber on both wheels?
No, I haven't checked the camber.
That's the first thing I would do in that situation, is check the camber, because if the camber is off on one side, it means that the arm on that wheel will be moved in or out from where it should be. And then when you do an alignment, you sort of compensate for that, but in so doing, you move the high spot on the steering box out of place. The next thing that's a common problem is that aftermarket side rods are slightly different lengths. And so the trick for that is to swap them side to side and see if the high spot moves.
Oh, okay.
After that, you really get into some serious measurement, but you cannot move the pitman arm on the end of the steering box because there is a master spline.
that's right. That's right.
So it can only go on one way.
Correct. It can only go in one position. Now, the
I
other
didn't
thing
realize that.
the other thing that can be a problem, and I have struck it many times, is the pitman arm itself can actually be bent. It's not at all unusual. So those are some things to check.
So Michael, you
Well, very
mentioned the
good.
side
Thank you for that.
rods. Michael, the side rods, what exactly are you referring to there?
Side rod is the rod that goes on one side. It goes from the pitman arm to the left wheel on a left-hand drive car. On the right-hand side, it goes from the steering idler arm to the wheel. And there were several aftermarket ones which were different in length by as much as 1/8 of an inch.
Michael, when you say camber, I thought camber was not adjustable.
It's
Gas
not
turbines.
adjustable. If you've got a camber problem, then you've got a bent frame.
Okay.
Got a bent frame, you're into some serious adjustments. I'm just going through it with a car.
Can I ask a question? When you're driving down, are you doing this driving down the road? Or are you doing it with what you perceive of the wheels being straight ahead in the shop?
Well, to try to answer your question, or maybe give you the information you're trying to get at, I know that the tight spot is not straight up when the wheel is straight up. I encounter it when I take a left-hand turn, so I know it was off.
But in other words, you're driving down the road and you know that the tight spot is not in the center. That's your
Exactly.
car.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I'm sure Michael knows a lot of more about it than I do, because I haven't had quite that problem.
Any other recommendations for Bill in that regard? In addition to what Michael shared? Okay, so now, Bill, did you have that car restored?
Yeah, the car's been completely restored, and
Right. Beautiful car.
I'd be shocked if the frame was bent, but a degree here, imperceptible to the human eye. Anything is possible. If this was just off by, half an inch or an inch, I'd just shrug and say, okay. But where you have to turn the wheel a quarter of a turn to encounter that dead spot, it just seemed to me like, take the pitman arm off and move it over one tooth, but I didn't realize it only went on at one location.
Yeah, a quarter of a turn is, as you say, a quarter of a turn's a lot. You need to, whatever you're dealing with probably is fairly obvious when you start measuring the right things.
Okay.
So I come to these meetings to learn, and I joined 7 minutes late, so I apologize. But on my car, I don't have what you're describing, this dead spot or high spot or tight spot. Should I be worried if I don't have that?
You probably have it, and your box isn't adjusted to the point that you can feel it.
Okay.
It's a fairly simple procedure to loosen a jam nut and tighten down a screw a little bit, and then you'll be able to feel it. I know a lot of people that can't feel the tight spot. It's just a question of adjusting. I wouldn't be surprised if some people adjust it out because they don't like it.
Yeah,
They don't want to encounter it. But the idea was it was supposed to just be a little bit tighter when you were on center driving straight ahead.
By design.
By design, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's how
Actually,
that's how
I'd
it was
have to-
built.
I'd
I
have
don't know if
to-
they planned it that way. It was a happy accident. But
I have to disagree with you slightly there. Where you shouldn't actually be able to feel that tight spot. The idea is you adjust the steering box until it just vanishes. Vanishes. And then you've got the box adjusted correctly.
And do you do that with the car up on the lift so that there's no?
That's correct, with the front wheels off the ground.
Is it better to do it with the pitman arm disengaged so that you have?
It doesn't matter. It's not necessary. You can do it with the wheels all on. Everything all together.
Yeah. It's not easy to do because when you tighten down the nut, then it comes back a little. You have to kind of.
That's why we're called fitters.
Well, Bill, I think in the 4.5, 5 years we've been doing this, you're the first one that said that question.
well, it could be a lot of people have it adjusted out so that they don't even feel it. So I'm probably not the first one that has it slightly misaligned, but I might be the first one who noticed it.
But is this a new whole gear? Is this all new stuff or is this an old installation?
All the steering box and arm is all original.
You
The
could,
I just remembered another
suspension
thing
is
that can
completely
cause that problem.
rebuilt.
I just remembered another thing that caused that problem. We had a case where somebody had reground the tracks, the races on the steering worm and the steering box. And then they had put spacers, a spacer into the steering box below the steering worm to take out any backlash in the steering box. And that effectively moved the high spot. So I have seen that happen. Did you
Yeah,
follow?
I don't think anything like that happened to this particular steering box.
Mm.
And I was wondering if there was something internally I was going to have to fiddle with to straighten this out. But sounds like Sounds like everything is external.
Do you have too much play when you just drive down the road straight? You have too much play?
I wish it had less. I wish it had less. And, you know, it's probably, I don't know where I read it, but I read somewhere that like a half an inch is what they typically had. Mine's probably a little more than that. Not too much more, but I don't think it's as tight as a half an inch.
I have a question on that. It's Ken. And maybe Mike Salter. Are you saying that when you're going straight ahead, that should be the high spot? That's when the wheel is tight.
Correct. That's correct. When you're straight ahead, the steering box should be on the high spot.
All right. Well, we work on a lot of Healeys, and the biggest problem that I see is there's a lot of play in this when you're driving straight, and the high spot is off to one side or the other. So when you turn the wheel, it binds up.
That's
So
right.
how can I, on these, and I'm saying, if I work on 10 of them, 9 of them have play in the middle. And if you want to get rid of that, then you can't turn the wheel over the high spot. How do you align the high spot? Are all these boxes put together wrong? Are they worn? Or why are they like that? Because this is common.
If you, the things that I just said, if you actually go through and check all those things, you will eventually find something that is causing the problem. There is always a problem. When they were assembled originally and all the frame was correct and all the pieces were the correct lengths and adjusted correctly, they did steer straight ahead with the steering box on the high spot. But, you know, there's a bunch of things can change it, a whole lot of things. Camber, as I mentioned, bent steering arms, bent track rods, all sorts of things can make a difference to where that high spot is. And it just takes a whole lot of diagnosis to find out what the problem is.
And Michael, those steering rods you mentioned, are they different lengths?
The side rods, we only discovered this after playing with them forever and actually ended swapping them side to side and discovered that the high spot moved from one side of the steering to the other.
Okay. But they are the same length. They should be the same length.
They are meant to be the same length and they're not adjustable. In fact, there was a period in the 90s where people were actually selling adjustable side rods, but that's gone now.
Oh. New business to get into.
I wonder if one of the rods is original, so to speak, and still has grease fittings, and maybe the other one doesn't, which would be a replacement. And that would be an indication of something to look at, to swap them like Michael is suggesting.
Yeah, that is a possibility because if your car had side rods that had grease fittings, both of them would have had them. If it was a late car that didn't have them, neither of them would have had them. So that's a pretty good indication that they've been changed. Yes.
Because Bill has a phase one, a phase 2 BJ8. Sorry.
Yes, it is. It's a phase 2 BJ8.
So it should have no grease nipples on the tie rod ends. Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Bill, you've been dealing with this since the car was restored or since you've had the car then?
Yeah, when, dealing with it, I was just living with it. I've had a number of problems that I've been chasing one at a time, and now I'm down to this. But the bigger problem before I started dealing with this was wheel shake. And I really chased everything, trying to rid the car of that wheel shake that you encounter at around, 60 or 65 miles an hour.
What do you mean by wheel shake? What
Scuttle shake.
bouncing or bouncing or
Some people call it scuttle shake. My scuttle doesn't shake. It's the wheels are vibrating.
are they bouncing up and down, that kind of thing?
I've never seen that. No, it's shaking in your hands. You can feel it in the wheel. Have you never? Maybe you're a very fortunate person and have never encountered it.
It's like a shimmy.
Yeah.
It's in the wheel. It isn't in the chassis. It's in the steering.
Yes.
Oh, front wheels then.
Well, one doesn't know, does one? So there's many things to check to find it. And I guess I made a mistake. I bought brand new Dayton chrome wire wheels, 72 spoke. And I simply made the assumption that they were fine because they were brand new. And so I chased every other possible problem. And I won't bore you with the list of things I checked, had balanced, measured. But then I finally measured the new wire wheels and found out that they were out by quite a bit. So
I brought my tires down to Ken Beck and had him shave them, and all that shake went away.
Yeah, I didn't hear who you brought them to. Who did you bring them
Ken
to?
Beck, Ken's on the call, I think.
Ken's in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Bill.
Oh, okay.
K&T Vintage Cars.
I mailed the whole package. I mean, I'm already done with that problem. I'm not seeking help on that issue. But I mailed the wheels and down to Hendrix Wire Wheels, and he trued up the wheels, and we put on brand new tires, and we shaved those, and that part's beautiful now. The shake went away. In the meantime, many other rotating parts have been balanced, and they're all nice. But so now the next thing, before I took it to get aligned, I wanted to make sure I had this dead spot lined up so that I encounter it straight ahead. But sounds like I might need to have it, might have an alignment done in order to check the camber, because I'm not quite sure how else I would check it.
Just a question. You said you would definitely discount a problem with the steering box. Is this the original steering box?
I believe it is, and the reason why I'm not 100% sure is the gentleman I had do the restoration on the body may have put in or given me somebody else's steering box when I got the car back. I got the car back, it was not assembled. I had to do a significant amount of the reassembly myself. And one of the things that was not installed was the whole steering box and steering rod. So I had to chase him down for that. He brought this back to me. How do I know whether it's the one that came with the car or not? I don't know.
I'm asking because it certainly is a possibility, a good possibility for the issue that you're dealing with.
What, that it's aftermarket, you mean, or that it's?
No, that it's been monkeyed with.
That's entirely possible. That's entirely possible.
Hey, I'd like to mention, if many people don't know, we have the most awesome wheel balancing guy right here in New England wire wheel, better than Hendrix. I don't know. I sent a set of my wheels to Hendrix many years ago, and I did not get good results from him. I'm no fault up to him, but whatever. And then I took him up to New England wire wheels. My next tires changed, and for the first time in 30 years, man, the car is smooth. So we got a good guy here locally.
That's the fellow out in Auburn, Mass.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. He is getting along in years, and
he's in his 80s.
Very nice guy.
He learned his trade from his father, and the tools that he uses were passed down to him by his father. And so he really knows what he's doing. He's very thorough, and I got good results.
How long ago was that, Robert?
Just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Two or 3 years ago.
Okay, because I had heard someone else saying he was phasing out his business.
I think he's slowing down. He's slowing down. He's not taking all the work that he used to do. I've been with him I took some wheels down to him last summer.
Oh, good.
He looked at them and got them. He didn't have to do much. I made a mistake. I thought the issue was in the wheels, but it wasn't.
He was the first person I took my wheels to, and he did balance my wheels the first time. And I still had a very pronounced shake when he was done, making me think that something else was wrong.
But you said then you bought new wheels and tires. It had that was probably made the difference. It was probably those old wheels and tires. When Ken did mine originally on my BJ8, He said my rear tires were square.
We used to sell Dayton wire wheels, and they're supposed to be within 40 thousandths when you get them. We had one out of the box that was 52 thousandths out. Now you're going to feel that if
Yeah.
your tire's perfect and the wheel's out by 40 or 50 thousand, you're going to feel it. And that's why I've found shaving just eliminates all those headaches. You put them on, you shave them, balance them, and you don't have to worry about that. But wire wheels in general, basically, I think they suck. They really, they look nice.
They look
play-
gorgeous, but they're a pain in the ass, yes.
But they are, and if they're not perfect, and haven't seen any yet that were perfect, you're gonna end up with a shake. 55 miles an hour, you can count on.
So Ken, how round are they supposed to be?
How round are they?
When you said out of round,
Well,
what's the tolerance that is acceptable?
Versus square.
yeah, perfect.
Well, of course.
I'm just saying, when it's not out of round, it's they're off side to side a little bit.
Okay.
They're off, let's say top to bottom.
Off
It's
center.
like-
In other words, the hub isn't in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And you can balance that, but the shake is going to be there. It's
That's
like
right.
balancing. It's like balancing a one-bladed propeller. You can do it, but it's not going to be the same all the way around. So the shaving cuts the tire concentric to the hub, and it eliminates all those slight variables that some wheels are off more than others. We spend a lot of time trying to correct wheels, adjust spokes and stuff. I've never been able close to do it. I know Hendrix advertises, I think, within 4 thousandths. I would bet that's impossible.
Impossible.
Again, I had mine, sent mine down to Hendrix, 10 or so years ago, that brand new tires, and he shaved them and he balanced them, and he also balanced my rear brake drums, and I got them back and the car still shook. Took my drive shaft off, I had it balanced locally, and the car still shook. And so it wasn't until I took the New England wheel, he went through them, everything. He checks them before he starts and go many steps, and boy, I got him back. I'm so happy because really I've had the car 40 years and 35 of them it was shaking, but now it's going smooth. I'm always surprised when I take it up to speed. So can't say enough good about the New England wheel. I'm sure.
Great.
And I had the exact opposite experience.
Okay, that's what I hear.
I did just the opposite. I went to him first. It still shook. I sent it down to Hendrix. He cleaned it all up for me. Who knows?
Yeah, really.
Well, I'll just reiterate, I did go to Ken a number of years back when I first had the shake, and he did the tires. I put 30,000 miles on them and wore them out, and went down with a new set of tires, and he did the same, and the shake has gone away. So I'd highly recommend him for his shaving and balancing and work that he does on that. I've had really good results.
Yeah, well, we're kind of on
Nice
subject.
endorsement. Thanks, Les. I'm sure
Yeah,
Ken
thank you.
appreciates that.
Well, we're kind of on the subject. Everybody, please make note. Don't run your cars on old tires. 10 years, maybe 8 years is the maximum. And it doesn't matter how good they look, throw them away. Because I nearly killed myself on my car on a set of old tires, when I first bought it. And, luckily my car and I live to tell the story. And I tell everybody as often as I can, don't run old tires.
No, you're absolutely right, Robert. No question about that. Probably the most important thing you can do.
Can I ask a question, Peter, about
Sure, Alden.
the drums? I know we've discussed this before. I went to newer drums. I bought them from rear drums, that is, from a Moss. And of course, they bounced all around and they weren't balanced at all. I sent them back and got other ones. They're okay, but I get a little pedal bobbing. And I don't think they're probably quite round. But there's the old type and the new type. What do you folks know about the difference between the new smooth ones and the old ones that have the ridges around the end? I have a set of those that came off the car originally and they bounced. And I elected to go to Moss for the newer type that are smooth for a lot less money than I could try to repair the old ones. But what's the latest thinking on that in terms of the old versus the new and how to get them balanced?
What are you
I
talking
bought
about?
new ones and I sent them to Hendricks and he balanced them.
You bought old ones with the ridges, new ones with the ridges, or old ones, or new ones without the ridges on the outside?
No, new ones that look appropriate on a BJ8.
Which are the ones with the ridges?
When you say ridges, I'm envisioning fins. Are you talking about
Little
fins?
fins on the outside, yeah.
No, that would be older. I don't believe the BJ8 came with finned brake drums.
Well, these were on mine when I bought it. I assumed they came originally. They looked old. I don't know.
Well, they still could be old, but they maybe not have come on your car originally.
That's may be true, but what's the right thing to have? What's the right rear drums to have on a BJ8? A 1960, a late 1964. It's an early BJ8.
They're smooth. They're smooth.
That's correct.
Okay. And with that, is that what would Moss Motors sell? Is there less expensive ones? That would be appropriate? Because the more expensive ones, I think, are rich, but I don't know for sure.
I think you're right about that. And I think they are less expensive. I think the more expensive ones are more expensive because they have that ridge, those fins, cooling fins on them. At least we used to call them cooling fins. I assume that's what it was for.
But those would not be appropriate to an earlier BJ8.
No, just, and double check what I'm saying because you seem a little nervous about this. Just look at the parts book. The parts book will show you what the drum looks like, the right drum. And I don't think you'll see fins on it for a BJ8.
Yeah, mine's a 64 and there's no fins on them. I have a good original car.
Oh, okay. And is that an earlier one?
Yeah, mine's an earlier car.
In other words, late 64 would be a BJ8, right? Earlier than that, it would be a BJ7.
No, 63 would be a BJ7. He's got a phase one BJ8 like I do.
Yeah, mine's a February car and it's an 8.
If I can interrupt here, as far as I'm aware, all wire-wheeled cars after 106s, 3000s had finned rear brake drums. Only the solid wheel cars had no fins on the rear brake drums.
Oh.
I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
so.
Mike, say that again because I'm losing a little.
All wire-wheeled 3000s
Yeah.
had finned rear brake drums.
No.
If they had solid wheels on the back, they had smooth drums.
Okay,
So the part number for the brake drum for a wire wheel is, for the rear brake drum for a wire wheel, is the same from a 3000 Mark 1 to a late BJ8.
My Mark 1 didn't have any fins. Oh, you're talking about, these are the fins that go this
on
way?
the outside of the drum, outside.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Little fins, only stick up a little bit.
yeah, mine have it on the Mark 1. And those are original, I know.
It had fins or it didn't have?
It did have fins.
Yeah, that's correct. It's all 3000s, all disc brake cars with wire wheels had fins on the rear drums.
Right.
Yeah, mine, I'm sure did not, but that could be because it's an early phase one and it didn't make the transformation yet. But
Well,
I'm
no,
sure
Michael's
No,
saying,
no,
he's
no.
saying anything after 106.
Anything with front discs had fins on the rear drums
no,
unless it had solid wheels.
my car is an original car. I bought it with 18,000 miles on it It's been concourse judged.
3,000 Mark 1?
It's a
No, it's a
3,000
phase one BJ8.
Phase one, a 64 February manufacture, no
just-
fins.
Just checking the parts book.
But some parts on my car are left over from earlier cars, so I'm not sure what the rest of the BJH look like. But I know about my car, there's no fins on the rear.
Disc wheel cars had no fins.
Yeah, it's wire
Wire
wheel.
wheel cars all had fins. The part number
No.
of the drum is 1B7526, and it went right through.
I don't know. I'll go out and I'll run out to the garage to take a look. But
Well, it's conceivable, I mean, Robert,
Somebody
it was
changed it.
conceivable that those brake drums had been replaced before you bought that car with 18,000 miles on it.
when I got the car, it had the original hoses on it, and I mean, like nothing had been changed on the car. It only had 18,000 miles on it. So
Yeah, and the rear brakes for, I have a non-disc, I mean, a disc wheel car, 61 3000, and the drums are actually different. Fins or no fins, the drums are actually different because the wire wheels are dished in to accompany compensate for the knockoff, the hub that sticks out the
Totally
spine.
different drum. Totally
Right.
different drum.
Yep. And mine does not have fins. Yeah.
So how do you know? Once wire wheels, always wire wheels, or do some people put wire wheels on and replace the disc wheels?
Yeah, I mean, I was starting down that road until I discovered after talking with a lot of members that somebody said it earlier, disc wheels are a pain in the ass. I mean, wire wheels. right?
Wire wheels.
So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to keep what I have. And I have the original metal wheels with hubcaps, but for daily driving, I just bought some Moss, mini light replicas, and they never a vibration,
yeah,
no maintenance. I love them.
where's my thumb? There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Peter, Ken here.
Yeah, I can.
Well, I'll throw a monkey wrench in here, and I do have a question. I had a BN1 with fin drums on them, Alphin.
Oh,
That's cheating.
I sold the Alphin brake drums off of that car for more than what I paid for the car.
There you go. Well, that's a good deal.
So we're all talking about tires, and what do you recommend as a tire? Because I look in Hemmings here under Lucas and Pirelli Cinturato tires, the 165 HR15s. I mean, is that a good tire, or does somebody not like those? Or
if you talk to Alan Hendricks, he'll tell you that the 165 size is the correct size for the car. And if you want the car to feel and handle like the car was intended to, that's the best tire. Now, if you can go up to like a 185 width, they're going to look kind of wrong for the car, but they may give you a little better traction, but it's going to strain your suspension, all that stuff. It's not meant to go with it. So as far as the size and as far as the tires, you got to buy what's available. The Vredesteins are pretty available, and a lot of guys recommend those. I don't know if Pirellis are available in the right size, but my recommendation would be, like in my case, I used to have 185s on it, and my current set of tires, I put 165s on. Maybe that's why it's going smooth down the road now.
I agree with what you just said. I had 185s. I did not like how heavy it made the wheel feel.
Right.
In a lot of circumstances, not just in your driveway. When I put on the 165s, it felt like I had power steering compared to how it was with the 185s. So I will not go back to 185s. Now, a lot of people recommend the Michelin 180. I think it's a Michelin XAS. I could be wrong. Very expensive tire compared to some of the others that are available, but and I've never used them, but I've seen a lot of people recommending those, mainly because it gives you they're about 1 inch taller, and it kind of fills the wheel well a little bit better than the 165s do.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Longstone
I
recommends
think-
those. They
think
recommend
if-
those as the XAS 180-15s. But
I think if you check 165s are a little bit smaller circumference than the original tires. Originals, I believe, were 590-15s.
right,
The 180, and we sell a lot of the 180, 185-70s. That's the same circumference as the 590, which was the original. The 165 is actually a smaller than original tire, which will make it steer easier, but you have less rubber on the ground.
yeah, the XAS 165s are 4/10 of an inch smaller in diameter.
Yeah.
That's a tire that I'm thinking of going with versus the original Dunlap bias tires.
Yeah, good move.
Yeah. So I'm
Well,
planning to do
Richard's
that
got his
spring.
car gold concourse with those 590s on it. So, and have you found someone to buy those yet, Rich?
I had somebody who was very interested in it. I haven't negotiated a price that he finds attractive yet,
Okay.
but I'm working towards that. But I'm going to put them on, on the website.
Yeah.
But they're good for concourse, but I don't like driving with them, to be honest with you.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm thinking about going with the Michelin XAS 165s, 15s.
Yeah.
What was that again?
It's a Michelin XAS
Oh, okay.
165 15s.
Okay.
I guess that was an option in the day for that car,
Okay.
but they're still manufactured, so they're still fresh tires.
XAS came out quite a bit later. That XAS is an asymmetric tire. They came
Right.
out in the late 70s,
Late 70s? Okay,
late 70s,
so
early 80s.
I stand corrected. You should know, Michael, as a judge.
If anybody wants it, I have one RS4 here in my stash of tires.
I actually have the original spare for my car, which is a RS4 white wall, a wide
wow.
white wall.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that became a spare.
Yeah, when I recently put my tires on my car, I was pretty interested to see. I was considering white wall tires because most of our cars originally came with white walls. And I haven't seen a lot of big Heelys with them. And so I was interested to look at a lot of them to see if I wanted to put them on. And it was just very hard to find. At the time when I was looking, there were really no good white walls available. I think they've come out with one or two now. But
They're a little bit like bell-bottom trousers.
I don't know.
This was a spare in my car when I bought it. And the car only had about 19,000 miles on it. And
Wow.
so I couldn't part with it. So it's still sitting in my garage. But it's
Yeah, that's
48
good.
spoke and a wide white wall. So
Oh, is it? Wow.
yeah. Peter, I'll send you a photograph of it and you can send it out to folks just out of curiosity.
Okay, sounds good.
And again,
Are
if anybody wants that RS4, they're welcome to it free of charge. Just come get it.
Up in New York.
Yeah.
So, any other questions this evening?
Yeah, me. Can I try one?
Sure, go ahead, Robert.
My window, does anybody know or familiar with our roll-up windows on the cars?
Yes.
I've got to replace some of those little clips. So I noticed one of them is broken, and the little plastic, there's this little white plastic sliders that, that the windows slide on.
On the rollers, yeah.
Yeah, I need to replace those. My windows generally kind of rattled around in the tracks. And what I'm wondering is, did the tracks ever have any kind of a felt lining or anything inside them? Or was it just the rubber, or was it just the plastic bush right against the metal?
Just the plastic bush, no liner.
All right, so I just have to get some new plastic bushes, take my windows apart, install them, and put it back together.
They're real fun to change too.
Buy extras.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and maybe a couple of spare windows.
Oh, no. Well, Well, what I've done, I put some felt in there, and it kind of, because they kind of wear, and they start rattling around, and it helped. But then I noticed one of them was broken, and so that means I got to do the job, So, okay.
Yeah, it's no fun. Good winter project
Yeah. Well,
in a
I've got
warm garage.
Peter,
today
can I
I'm
chime in on that?
Sure, go ahead, Ken.
I just did mine last year and I went through the whole door. I took everything inside completely apart. And those little clips aren't that difficult. I find the hardest part is getting the inside trim off and putting it back on, and peeling that canvas liner off without tearing it. But as
Oh.
far as the mechanics, it's pretty easy to change them out.
okay. Good.
What did you
Thanks,
use
Ken.
to hold the glass into the channel?
Yeah.
I took the glass out and I even put new rubber seals on the glass.
Yeah, so what did you use? What rubber?
I got something from Austin-Healey spares.
Yeah.
It was made to go on the
That's
channel.
what- Yeah, you put it on with
but-
engine oil.
Well, yeah, I was using silicone lubricant, but I found the best way to do it was with a set of wood clamps and clamp it on. Because there's no way in hell you're going to pound it back on with
Yeah.
a plastic mallet.
Yeah, that stuff's called Everseal. It's actually uncured rubber. And the theory is that it's a little bit loose when you put it on, but you soak it in engine oil. And
Really?
the engine oil makes it swell. And when it swells, it clamps onto the glass. It's pretty old technology, but that's how it was done originally.
Yeah,
Wow.
the strips I had were flat, and the fit trying to get it back on with the channel was very tight. So I had an awful time trying to get them on, and then finally I thought, geez, I went down cellar and grabbed some wood clamps, and I actually pulled it together, two up and down and two side to side, and very carefully just kept tightening them up, and it worked great.
Did
I
you do
tried
both,
with a
Ken?
rubber mallet first, and that was disaster.
Oh, thank
Did
you.
you
That's a good tip. I appreciate it. Big 3-foot, 4-foot clamps, huh? Something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Press them on. Yeah, that sounds
And
good.
press them on.
Good tip. Thank you.
Because if you try to tap them on, you do the bottom one and the side pops off. You do the side one and the bottom one will want to pop off. So, but 4 clamps, 2 going each way, and just, gradually kind of pull it together, and it made it so easy.
Yeah. And the rubber thing you're talking about, that's the black strip that runs down the whole length of the side of the window, right?
Yeah. It goes in the that metal frame channel that goes around. It comes in a roll. You cut it to length,
Oh,
and it's only, I don't know, maybe about an inch wide.
So did you put the rivets in after you'd put the channels on?
Yes, I had to redo one of the rivets on each.
That's the way it's meant to be done.
Yep.
Well, good detail. Thanks, Ken.
hey, you had to redo rivets. So how did you do the rivets? You just pound them flat?
No, I got a rivet gun. I
They're
used a pop
just
rivet.
pop rivets. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
pop rivets.
Oh, okay. Pop rivets. Okay.
Did you have to drill them out first before you put the new ones in?
One of them had popped out. It was
Yeah.
pretty worn. And the other one I drilled out.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Good. Thank you.
It was a lot of hours for a simple job, I'll tell you that. Like I said, the worst part was the inside trim, that panel that goes on the inside of the doors. You got to be very careful where it's made of that thin plywood, that you don't start, damaging the wood when you're trying to get those stupid little clips in the hole. And plus trying to line them all up too and get them back in the right place. So a lot of jockeying getting those back on.
No problem. That's a piece of cake. I just took my windows off. I just took the door panels off a couple of months ago because that one was really rattling to see what the problem was. And I've noticed that the one clip was broken. And so, okay, the plastic ages out, they just crack and break. And so I put it back together. So I've had it apart and together several times. It is, I hate to take them apart because you always do a little bit of damage to the panel every time.
Yep.
But
And
I
check,
get the,
check on prices too. I ended up getting half the price, half the items from Austin-Healey Spares and half from Moss. I found some at Austin-Healey Spares that were almost half the price of what Moss wanted for them.
Okay.
Where
Well,
do you think Moss gets them?
That's
Probably.
right.
Well, especially that little white plastic round piece that goes in where the crank up window is.
Oh,
Moss wanted like $42 a piece for those, and I think they were 26 at Austin-Healey Spares.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at a lot of things you get from Moss, it'll have an A spare sticker right on it.
Yep. So it doesn't hurt to check both websites when you get your parts list together.
Especially now that the pound is weak against the dollar,
Right.
Yep.
or relatively weak.
Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense.
You know,
Other
while we're
questions?
talking about windows, side windows, I just can't seem to get my passenger side adjusted so that it goes up and down easily. Would you start by taking that window out and just starting all over again and redoing the metal channels, or is there some secret series of things you do when you adjust that channel so that the window goes up and down smoothly?
There's not much to adjust, Bill. It's pretty straightforward. I removed the cranking mechanism, cleaned it all out, put a little fresh grease in there. The grease that was in it was like caramel. And, they're still a little stiff, but not as bad as they were. I would suggest if you're going to go that far where you're pulling it all apart, go through everything.
Yeah.
I even replaced all the rubber seals on the outside that go on the trim. I went through the whole thing. I mean, I completely took them all apart and all new rubber, all new everything, practically.
Yeah, there's got to be something wrong with one of the parts in mine, because I did that. I put everything in new on both sides, and the driver's side works fine, but the passenger side was always a little tight. And now with just age, it's really gotten very hard to crank up and down. So I'm going to have to dive in there and check it out.
Yeah.
You give Barbara the lousy side, Bill. Nice guy.
She just takes the Lexus.
Hey, Peter, staying with side windows.
Sure.
My upholsterer down the road for me is just getting ready. He just ordered the right material for my BN2 side curtains, and I'm just curious, what color should I paint the frames? I always remember that it being gray.
That's what mine are.
Yeah.
Or my BN1. Yep.
Yeah.
It's about the same color as the top frame.
Yep. Okay, that's what I thought. All right.
Battleship gray or. Yep.
Super. Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
Hey guys, I had my Sprite out today.
Good for you. Yeah.
Beautiful day.
Why not?
Yeah,
40 degrees, right?
really. It rained, the roads are washed off. Yeah, we're still going. We may not have any snow this winter.
It's looking that way for the next 12 months. I mean, next 2 weeks here. It doesn't show any. It's gonna be in the 40s and 50s every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I'm not
The old
complaining.
cars, you got to get the old cars out and drive them a little bit. It's good in
Yeah.
the middle of winter.
No question. No question. So, other questions tonight?
I have a request.
Please.
I would like somebody who knows they have a straight, unmolested front frame section of a Healey, including one that's driving on the road, to measure the distance between the shocks. That's between the bases of the shocks, left to right, the exact distance. Should be around 23 inches, but I'm getting huge variations. I've asked several people and they're getting huge variations as much as an inch.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm trying to restore this BN2 frame, and it's been hit in the front, and I want to make sure I get that absolutely correct.
So, Mike, what is the distance you want?
I want the distance. If you look at the base of the aluminum shock absorber, the die-cast shock absorber,
On
I
the
want
front,
if you
yeah.
can measure from the distance between those bases on the front of the car. So you know, base to base.
Would you
What do you
want the
think it should
base?
be?
Would you
Sorry,
want
again?
the base or the actual bolt? I would think the top of the bolt.
I
would be
want
more
actual
accurate.
base. The base, that's what is easiest to measure.
Okay,
Hey,
see if I can do that for you.
Thanks very much.
So is it the same as, should it be the same as on the Mark One?
I think all big Heelys is the same dimension.
So they
Okay.
had the same chassis.
And what do you think
The
it should be?
BJ8, the
Should be
BJ8 would
around
be the same?
23 inches.
So Nick, the front chassis were the same, and the BJ8s was the rear chassis that would change.
Oh, and you're looking at the front chassis.
That's correct. The front chassis, shock to shock.
Okay. Well, if you give me your phone number, I'll call you back in a half an hour.
Okay, 416.
Just a second. Let me get my pencil here. 416
576
576
0904.
0904. Yeah, as
Thank
soon
you.
as the call's over, Mike, I'll go downstairs and take a look and give you a shout.
Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, no trouble.
Yeah. I'll go check mine too as well, Michael.
And Michael, I'll send you mine tomorrow on my BN2.
Thank you. That's
Mine will
great.
probably be tomorrow.
Maybe I should just average them.
Because Ken, you have the motor out of your BN2, right?
That is correct.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Just this past week, I finally, in my own mind, got all my wiring harness. What's the word I'm looking for? Realizing what part of the wiring harness goes on what side of, the brake switch and the relays and all of that. So I'm just about ready to start installing it.
Great. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Good.
exciting.
Yep.
So. Other questions tonight?
Hey, this is Rupert Richardson. I had a quick question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So I have a BJ8 19 as a 65, and when I open the bonnet, when I open the hood, in the channel at the very front of there are 3 screws in the channel, and I've had the car for 20 years now, and those screws are never attached to anything. It just seemed to they just seem to be screwed into the channel there, but they don't
Into the
seem to-
shroud, yeah.
yeah, they don't secure anything at all. So I just wondered, should they be securing something in the shroud there, or do they? I don't see any reason for them to be there.
They secure the front of the shroud to what we call the rad cradle. There's a piece of steel behind the shroud, right at the back of those screws, and those are countersunk. They're countersunk 1032 screws.
Yeah,
and they are meant to stop any movement between the shroud and the steel piece behind. The difficulty is that the holes in the shroud, in the aluminum shroud, get all hacked out. So you can't tighten them up. That's the problem. And it's quite difficult to fix, because to do it properly, you really need to weld the holes closed and re-drill them.
Yes. Yeah, they're rattling around. And it's difficult to see what they attach to, but maybe I just took the radiator out to redo that. So maybe I will I'll crawl underneath and have a better look and see if I can tighten them up in some way. but that's
Yep.
that's very useful. Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Rupert, for the question. Any others?
I'm gonna
Okay.
I'll share my experience today. It's car related, although not Austin-Healey. I'm out working on my wife's BMW 318 4-cylinder car, and I decided to try the torque wrench that we have to tighten the oil pan bolt, because I'm changing the oil and a bunch of other stuff. And I think the torque wrench is non-functional. And I tightened it tight, and the bolt snapped off.
Oh no.
It went into the oil pan
Ooh.
today. I got the head out, the head came out, but I can't even picture how that happened. But the body of the nut just went right inside the oil pan. So I guess I got to take the oil pan off and
I guess
all
you
that.
do.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's no fun.
no, that was my garage experience today. that I shared.
Jeez. Someone else just shared the misery with Robert.
Yeah.
So I guess with no other question, just as a reminder, our AGM is on the 21st, Saturday, the 21st at 10 o'clock. Bruce, anything else you'd like to share about that? Bruce Ketchum? Maybe Bruce disappeared.
No, I had the phone on mute, Peter. So, yeah, sure. Please, by all means, people make an effort to attend the annual general meeting. Unfortunately, we will be using a Zoom format again this year. I kind of look forward to those gatherings that we had around lunch, but we will be doing another Zoom event this year, and we'll hope for a change in the future. So I hope you can make it anyway. Your input is important to us, and love to hear from you.
Yeah, we get here. I'm trying to get to the website. So we get the details on the website. Let me get this out of the way. So it is a different call in for that. It's on the bottom of the website, and I apologize for why that won't move. Okay. Whoops, I don't want to do that. But it's on the homepage of the website. The other thing just to let people know about is we also have a new editor of the Hen. You should have received an email from Bruce regarding that. So we will be getting our newsletter out January 25th for that. So any content that you have, we shared Samantha's email address in there. So if you can send that to her, that would be great. Let me see if I can get to that as we prepare for that. But so if you do have, so there's Sam, who's our new editor of the newsletter, and she also has her email address there. So those of you who went to Newport, the whole program that was done in Newport was done by Sam. But so SO'Donnelldesign@gmail.com. So if you have any materials, any content that you'd like to have, please include that. I know Bruce has already done a number of things. Rich Ray has provided some content for us. So anything you'd like to have into the next version of the Hen, please get that to Sam. Anything else before we close?
I have one quick question maybe for Mike. I just got my my Concours badge. Where does that mount? Does it go between the slats on the front grille? It does. There's no.
I don't think there's an
instructions.
official place. On my car, I made up a bracket and mounted it just inboard of the outrigger, the overriders. I made a stainless steel bracket that bolts in there. So it stands up just on the back behind the bumper.
Okay, on the back?
Just behind the bumper, yeah. But it's a bit of a fiddle because there's not a lot of room in there.
Yeah, I saw one car with a badge on it and it had it in the grill.
Yeah, you could do that. I don't. Does it have a back stud on it? I don't think it does it?
it just has, it has two little places for, looks like a number 8 screw, and it
Yeah,
has
that's right, yeah.
two studs and 2 nuts, and that's it.
You'd have to make up some sort of a bracket to do that.
Well, they have a little bracket in the back. It just.
Mm.
So
That's a good afternoon's work for you.
There you go.
Yeah, I had my badge in my grill for years, and it kind of got all faded, and so I took it off. There it is. I keep it in my office now. Concourse, silver concourse. Here it is.
What year was that?
When I got the concourse,
Yes.
was at 91 at Sturbridge.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
So I did hear post here, and so the details for the AGM on the 21st of January. So, well, thank you all for your questions tonight. Hope you all have a very happy New Year, and our next call will be on the 16th. No, that's January. I gotta look at February. Sorry, but it's the second Monday of the month, and so look forward to talking to you in beginning of February. So, and as other people pointed out, yeah, with this nice warm weather, get out and enjoy the cars, because there's more rain coming this weekend. So after that, you don't have to worry about the roads having any salt on them. So,
I'll be in New Zealand. I'll be in New Zealand.
Oh, good for you. That's even better. How long are you going for, Michael?
2 months.
Good for
I'm
you.
going to their 50th. They got their 50th anniversary, the Healey Club 50th anniversary. So I'm driving from one end of New Zealand to the other in 106.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in New Zealand myself in February, end of February, early March.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll probably run into me.
I'm sure.
So Michael, do you have a Healy you can use when you go back to
No, I'm being loaned a car by one of the guys in the club there.
Good, excellent.
Very kind of them. Yeah.
I
Looking
always do
forward
that
to
with
it.
my British friends. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it'll
nice.
be a lot of fun. Yeah. So that's the second, the last 2 weeks in March.
Okay. Great. And Rich, are you going to Auckland?
I am. So I'm going on a
Great.
tour of Australia for about 6 days and 2 weeks in New Zealand. So
Okay, good for you. Okay.
Enjoy.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
just going to enjoy the scenery.
Yeah, I'm in Queenstown.
Queenstown?
Yeah.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, thank you all. Have a great rest of the month, and we'll talk to those who are around the second Monday in February. Good night.
And the rest of you, thank you very much for your advice on my problem.
Thank you,
Take
Peter.
care.
Thank you,
Thank you all. Good night.
Night.